49ers made no secret as what they wanted to accomplish in the 2025 NFL draft. Their first five picks were all on the defensive side of the ball, including three defensive linemen. Those three defensive linemen effectively take the places of the three veteran defensive linemen that they released before the start of the new league year or at the start of the new league year. Take the place of Javon Hargrave, Leonard Floyd, and Malik Collins. So Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, and CJ West. Those are three guys that everybody's going to be keeping an eye on, but I'm here to tell you that the 49ers defensive line this year, the two key guys are two defensive linemen who are veterans who have to have career years for the 49ers defensive line to get back up there in the upper echelon of defensive lines in the NFL. So those two defensive linemen, I'll explain it as we go here, Yetur Gross-Matos and Bryce Huff. So this kind of wraps up my look at the 49ers position by position. This today's defensive line. Hope you've enjoyed this series and feel free. Well, feel free, obviously. I'm inviting you, if you haven't seen the other ones, go back a week or so when I talked about the tight ends and then the safeties. And then Monday with Ricky Pearsall, him talking about the incident of August 31st, 2024. And then now the defensive line wrapping up this series. So the 49ers defensive line last year, it wasn't good. It was bad in some areas, 21st in the league as far as allowing 4.4 yards per run. It just seemed to me, though, that the 49ers run defense was worse than that, worse than 21st. They just didn't seem to be able to keep the opposition out of those third and short scenarios where it's very easy to convert those third downs. But they did have certain areas where they did look good. Sixth in net yards per pass attempt, sixth best, meaning only 5.9 yards per pass attempt net. That's pretty good. And then also they weren't bad when it comes to just average yards per play, 5.2 yards per play. That ranked eighth in the league. But where I think the 49ers can really improve is obviously the run defense and just getting to the quarterback. More hits on the quarterback, which leads to more takeaways, more sacks, all of that. Last year, Nick Bosa led the team with 9 sacks, followed by Leonard Floyd, followed by Malik Collins, Floyd, Collins, gone. And so we'll get into all this, but the 49ers right now have 15 defensive linemen on their 90-man roster. They can be expected to keep 8 or 9. I'm sorry. Well, 8 to 10. Let's put it that way. 9 or 10, 8, 9, 10 defensive linemen. I'd say 9 or 10 defensive linemen on their 53-man roster. And of course, there are certain, guys that are going to be on there, but those last couple spots, I think, are going to be up in the air. And so, the guys are going to be on the team. I think Nick Bosa, he's going to be on the team. Jordan Elliott, he's going to be on the team, I think. Yetur Gross-Matos, of the veteran guys, and then the trade bringing over Bryce Huff, so that's 4, and then I think obviously the 3 draft picks, Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, and CJ West, so that's 7 right there. So a lot of competition for those final couple spots, but starting with Nick Bosa, I think for the first time he can really benefit from having somebody on the other edge, whether that's Michael Williams or Yetur Gross-Matos on base downs. And then in those situations, rushing the passer, it's going to be Bryce Huff. And that is one of the keys for the 49ers defense, finding the right spots situationally. Michael Williams, the 49ers had him evaluated as the best defensive end in this draft as far as setting the edge. Of course, they said they didn't think he was going to be there at number 11 overall, but he was, and they took him. They even looked to trade up to get him and ultimately couldn't make that trade. They stayed where they were, and they got him anyway. So with Michael Williams setting the edge, Yetur Gross-Matos setting the edge in certain base situations when Michael Williams isn't out there, 49ers have 2 guys who can play defensive end, starting caliber defensive ends in their base situation. Both of those guys, Gross-Matos and Michael Williams, can then slide inside and rush the passer in nickel situations. So let's talk just a little bit about Yetur Gross-Matos. The 49ers decided to keep him at his salary, $8 million this season, over Malik Collins and over Leonard Floyd, two other defensive linemen. So at $8 million this year, he's 27 years old. 49ers see a lot. They like a lot about him. Last year, he had 4 sacks. And that was coming off of a season with the Carolina Panthers where he had a career high 4.5, 4.5 sacks. 3 of those sacks came in week 14, and he won the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. I don't want to minimize what he did in that game with his 3 sacks, winning that honor, NFC Defensive Player of the Week, but it came against the Chicago Bears. And Caleb Williams was sacked not only more than any quarterback in the league last year, 68 times, but it was 16 sacks that he gave up, or he was sacked 16 more times than the number 2 guy in the league, who is CJ Stroud. So, what I think with Gross-Matos is whether it's the sack numbers or just the all around play for the 49ers defense to go where they need to go, Yetur Gross-Matos has to stay on the field, be healthy, and produce like he's never produced before at the NFL level. So that's why I think Yetur Gross-Matos is a huge key for this season. And the other guy I'd put up there as far as an established veteran guy who needs to have a career year is Bryce Huff. 49ers acquired him in a trade from the Philadelphia Eagles for a 5th round pick that could convert to a 4th rounder. In essence, the 49ers decided with their stockpile of compensatory picks, or at least projected compensatory picks for the 2026 draft, to use one of those picks in order to get a pass rusher. Bryce Huff has been, in 66 career games over 5 NFL seasons. He has 20 sacks, but 10 of them, half of his sacks, came in one season with the New York Jets with Robert Saleh as the head coach. He then signs the big money deal with the Eagles and really didn't do much at all. And what the 49ers believe is they were kind of misused him. They used him as basically an outside linebacker who would drop into coverage. He is all about the pass rush. But again, 49ers need him to have a career year. They can't have him getting 2 sacks, 3 sacks, which he had done for basically every season of his career until that 2023 season with the Eagles when he erupted for the 10 sacks. So Yetur Gross-Matos and Bryce Huff have to have big seasons, and then not necessarily found money or gravy with what the rookies do, because 49ers need these rookies to respond as well. But it just takes a little bit of the pressure off of Michael Williams, 1st round draft pick from Georgia, number 11 overall. He is somebody the 49ers expect to make an impact year one and continue to get better and better and better. To me, one of the major question marks about this is the 2nd round pick, Alfred Collins from Texas, selected at number 43 overall. 49ers see him as a player who can really anchor into the middle and help the 49ers run defense. The issue with him at 330 pounds is that he had a calf injury during his pro day at Texas that kept him out of the entire 49ers offseason program. So I know the 49ers knew about the injury. They knew that, there was going to be some work to get him back on the field. I don't know that they expected this to last the entire offseason program. With his size and his transition from the college ranks to the pro ranks, I think he missed out on some valuable, valuable time with the 49ers this offseason. So Alfred Collins, somebody that I think, the conditioning part of it, they have to be very cautious with him in training camp. And I just don't know how much he'll be able to produce, at least early in his career with the 49ers. I just think that has to be an area of concern for the 49ers. Collins having that injury that has kind of lasted for this long and now goes into training camp without that base of having the offseason program behind him. And then the other draft pick the 49ers had, CJ West from Indiana, compared to DJ Jones. It looks like he has a really good motor and a guy that can make an impact in the 40 for the 49ers defense as a rookie. So those are some of the guys the 49ers expect to be on the team and expect to be part of the rotation and make major contributions. Now, they have some other returning veterans who are certainly worthy of spots on the 53-man roster, but aren't necessarily guaranteed those spots. And let's start off with Kevin Givens. 49ers are bringing him back for another season. He's been a pretty valuable guy as far as a backup, but I'm not sure he's ever really taken that next step to solidify himself as a starter caliber and a frontline guy as part of a rotation. Sam Okawanu showed some promise last season. Not as physically gifted as Bryce Huff, but kind of in that mold. Sam Okawanu last season had 3 sacks. Kevin Givens, by the way, had 3.5 sacks. So Sam Okawanu, more of an edge rusher. They can move him around a little bit, but they need him to take this next step or he's in danger of not making the team. Evan Anderson was a nice find as an undrafted rookie, showed up in the preseason and then was brought up to the 49ers 53-man roster and was part of the rotation. And then a couple other guys, recent draft picks who faced make or break seasons for them, Kalia Davis and Robert Beal. Kalia Davis, a defensive tackle. Robert Beal has yet to really show that explosiveness as a pass rusher that the 49ers hoped that they were getting. So those are some of the guys who are competing for spots. Another couple guys, veteran guys who have been in the NFL, who are competing for roster spots. Jonathan Garvin, 4 years in the league. Taron Jackson, 3 years in the league. So those guys, they have some ability because that's what's kept them in the NFL, kept them in the NFL radar for the multiple years. But perhaps facing uphill climbs to win roster spots with the team. And then one undrafted guy to keep your eye on, Sebastian Valdez from Washington. 49ers gave him $170,000 of guaranteed money, so virtually guaranteed a spot on the practice squad if he doesn't make the 53-man roster. Obviously faces an uphill climb to make the 53-man roster, but with his size, 6'3", 300 pounds, very strong guy, bench press 34 at his pro day. Good 3-cone drill, so he has a combination of the power as well as the agility. Could be a nice spot if he can find his way into the system. Undrafted guy, you would think with those measurables would have had a good chance to get drafted, but he goes under the radars of the NFL. 7 rounds, not drafted. 49ers get him for 170 guaranteed. So I would expect him to be on the practice squad and see if eventually he can move his way up to the 53-man roster, get on the field and make some sort of impact. So there it is, the 49ers defensive line, 15 guys on the roster now, as many as 10, more than likely 9 will make the 53-man roster, and a good majority of those guys, 8 guys, are going to see extended action on game days. So, Nick Bosa, Jordan Elliott, Yetur Gross-Matos, Bryce Huff, the draft picks, Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, CJ West. I think those are the guys that you can pretty much guarantee are going to be on the roster, and then some really good competition, I think, for those other spots that involves Kevin Givens, Sam Okawanu, Evan Anderson, Kalia Davis, Robert Beal, Jonathan Garvin, Taron Jackson, and Sebastian Valdez. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching the other positional videos. Hope you enjoyed this positional series. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, and that is it for now.